What's the busiest weekend that you've ever had? I know it might be kind of hard to think about that because right now we're not really as busy as we were maybe a year ago. But for example, can you think really hard about a time when maybe you had like 5 sports games to go to, or your brother or your sister had sports games and so did you, and you had to travel to get there, and you had to load up the car, and that took time, and there was a birthday party you needed to go to afterwards, and you had a ton of extra homework to work on too? Can you think about a time when you felt like that? And I know you might not have felt like that recently, but you might be feeling like a different kind of busyness recently too, with school being online, and maybe you have to go to 3 different Zoom calls in one day, and that's not something that you would have experienced in the past, but it is busy. So what do you remember when you felt busy like a year ago and when you felt busy now? What is that feeling like? And I want you guys to think about it and really try to describe what emotion you feel when you feel that busy. Well, there's so many times when life feels so busy and there's so much to do that it can feel really out of control. And we might even wonder, does God see what's happening? Does He even know what I need right now? So today, we're going to learn how God sees what's happening in our lives. Even if we don't feel like He sees it, He always sees what's happening in our lives. And we're going to learn that He wants to help us discover the ways that will help us so that we can face our challenges in life and those hard times and those times of busyness and stress. And He's going to help us be able to handle those with confidence and with trust. And He's going to help us learn that we can continue to lean on Him and trust Him even in those times of busyness and stress and bad, busy emotions that we talked about earlier. So our Bible story today shows us how Moses and the Israelites fled Egypt and camped around Mount Sinai. Jethro visits him and observes how much time it is taking Moses to settle disputes. So disputes means like fights or arguments or stuff like that. So how much time it's taking Moses to settle disputes that are brought before him by other people. Jethro advises Moses to appoint judges to deal with most of the cases so that only the most difficult ones will come to him. And that way, Moses can devote all of his time, so he can take all of his valuable time to hearing God and to teaching the people that are around him and the people that are disputing and arguing. He can devote his time to teaching those people about how God wants them to live. So let's watch the video and we can learn more about this Bible lesson.
All right, kids, we're talking the Old Testament here. Going Genesis to Malachi, every book, 39. Let's take a look. Genesis, the beginning of it all. Creation, man, and the fall. Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, history. Joshua, Judges, Ruth. 1 Samuel, the Bible is the truth. 2 Samuel, 1st and 2nd King. 1 Chronicles, 2nd Chronicles, Sing. Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, Job, Psalm. Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon. Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel, and Daniel. Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, and we finally end with Malachi. Now you know, today we're in Exodus. Here we go.
Bible Story Challenge. That's where we take a mystery material and use it to tell our Bible story. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, let's spin that wheel, see what we get.
Okay.
I got cereal! What do you guys think? You think we can use cereal to tell our Bible story?
Yes.
Okay, well we are gonna go get our supplies and we'll be back.
Okay.
All right, okay.
Keep going.
We are back and we've got our supplies and we are here to use cereal and milk to tell the story of Moses and Jethro from Exodus 2 and 18. So in this story, we have a few characters. First of all, we're going to introduce Moses. Moses had been leading the people. He had led them through the Red Sea out into the desert. They were following God, and God had appointed Moses as their leader. But there were so many people, and Moses was in charge of all of them. Part of his role was to teach them about God's law and to hear from God for the people, but he also settled any problems they might have. And sometimes they had a lot of problems. Have you guys been like a long amusement park ride before where you have a long line to wait? So let's kind of pretend like we're making a long line of people. Yeah, there we go. So like sometimes there were a lot of problems or questions that people had, and they would have to crowd up around Moses to try to solve the problems. Now, Moses' father-in-law, Jethro, here, let's make him this green one here. Here, Justin, you want to be Jethro?
Okay.
All right. He decided to come visit Moses. He had heard about all the amazing things God had done. There you go. And then you can kind of get him over here like he came to see Moses. But when he was there in the morning, he watched as all of these people crowded around Moses all day from morning to night. If this was an amusement park ride, how long would this guy in the back be waiting?
Maybe like
5 through 8 hours.
Yeah, it would be like
15 days.
15 days. It would be a long time, right? So he watched this, and poor Moses at the end. How do you think Moses would feel after helping all those people?
Good?
Pretty good.
Maybe tired too,
Yes,
right?
tired.
So Jethro asked Moses if he could offer him some advice. He said, "What's going on?" Moses said, "Well, I'm here to teach people God's law and his rules, and also to help settle any problems they have." But Jethro noticed Moses wasn't getting any time to spend with God when he's helping all these people. So he asked if he could give him some advice. Jethro said, "Instead of you having all the people, you need to appoint some people who also follow God, and then have them answer the questions and problems first that were easiest." So here, Caleb, can you make a pile over by you? And then, yeah, so there would be like, instead of everyone crowding around Moses, there would be these wise and trusted leaders that people could go to first with their problems, and then the leaders would only come with the really hard stuff for Moses, which gave him a lot more time to listen to God and to be available for whatever needed to happen. And then they could come one at a time and talk to Moses about whatever it was that was going on. And so Jethro gave some great advice to Moses, and it was really a way that God provided for his people to have Jethro come in to give that advice. Okay, that was our story of Moses and Jethro from Exodus 2 and 18, told through the use of cereal and milk. And we just wanted to say, thanks for watching!
Okay, so from our story today, what was the main challenge that Moses was facing? Well, everyone was coming to Moses and they were asking him for help. And they were asking him to answer questions and to settle disputes. Remember, we talked about that means arguments or fights. And there were so many people that it kept him busy all day, every day. Okay, next question. Let's imagine what it would be like for Moses with everyone coming to him for help. How do you think he felt? And how would you feel in that situation? Busy? Overwhelmed? Tired? Scared maybe? Scared of everyone thinking that you're giving them the wrong advice? And what would happen if he couldn't help everybody? Can you remember a time when you felt overwhelmed by a challenge or a task? And what did that feel like for you? So how does God provide for the challenge that Moses faced? Well, he sent help to Moses through Jethro. And remember that Jethro was the father of Moses' wife, and he came to visit. God gave him some helpful advice and his outside perspective, so his outside view on the situation, made it easier to observe and to see what the main problem was. Who are the people that God sends us to help us with our challenges? Well, sometimes when we have challenges, he puts parents or leaders and people that we trust in our lives to help, teach, and encourage us through our challenges. And sometimes these people can notice things about our lives that are helpful too that we wouldn't even notice ourselves. What was the solution that Jethro was suggesting to Moses? Well, Jethro reminded Moses that he was the only one who could teach the people about God. What Moses needed to do was to choose among the people who he could trust to lead over smaller groups of people. So those people could take care of the everyday work of settling those fights and disputes, the word that we learned earlier, while Moses could deal with the bigger problems. What happened when Moses followed Jethro's advice? Well, when this happened, it was a win-win for everybody. Everyone benefited, so everyone had something good happen. God provided for Moses and all of his people. God showed his faithfulness, and Moses could focus more on what God had called him to do. Only Moses could devote his time to receiving revelations, so visions and dreams and everything like that from God, and teaching the people about who God was and what God was doing for the people. God saw the help that was needed, and he provided for his people. The leaders Moses chose were able to help the people get their questions answered and settle their disputes, and they learned how to live as God wanted them to. And they were able to receive fair decisions and fair guidance and help when they needed it. When we follow God's guidance, do you think that we receive the same kind of help that Moses did when he followed God's guidance? What would be some ways that we could grow in trusting God and we could learn to trust God more? And when we think about this, we know that we can trust that God provides leadership for us. We can have confidence that God cares for us by realizing he has put people in our lives who can support us and encourage us and help us. We can feel able to use the gifts that God has given us to help others, as the leaders did for Moses in the story.